G'day everyone and welcome to episode 21 of the Battleforged Gaming podcast, brought to you by generalgameschirnside Park. Today I've got BFG Mark, we've got Lachie from Sabre Studios, Team Victoria, Team Oz,
Oz,
bunch of other teams, future Team Australia, and what was meant to be the guest for episode 19. We've got Ash. Thank you for coming, Ash.
Thank you for having me.
We didn't get our wires crossed this time, which was really good. We're going to jump straight into the giveaway just so we can get it done and we don't have to worry about it later on. So
absolutely.
I'll cross on over to the little spinny wheel, and it did work because I tested it, right? I tested it before we went live. And funnily enough, it landed on you.
Spewing.
No.
So we'll see. We'll see if it lands on Seeker again. But
imagine if it's just one magic you're going to get.
So good luck, everyone. I hope it lands on me again.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump on over here. No, that's the wrong thing. That's the thing we want. All
Here
right.
we go.
So I'm just gonna click go and it's gonna spin, and then we're gonna have a winner.
I assume the stream can see this.
Yeah,
Yes,
stream
yeah.
can see this. Yeah. So there's a bunch of people in there that have just got like users like 12846. So I'm hoping it legitimately lands on someone. Here we go. It's spinning.
It is spinning. Cue elevator music.
Yeah, I have to set some screens up. All right, it has landed on Simon Bird 3825. So congratulations, Simon Bird.
Well done.
You've won an epic hero model up to a 60mm base. If you watch the Twitch streams or you're in our Discord or whatever, we're going to announce this, but get in contact with us so we can sort you out with your prize. Anyway.
Yeah, there's multiple people to contact. So if you don't get through to one, just shoot a message through and someone will definitely see it.
Yep. Cool. I need to get rid of this screen. So let's minimize that. And then I can get rid of this completely and we'll jump into the fortnightly catch up, guys. So what have you been up to, Mark? What hobby? Well, I mean, you don't even have to chat about hobby. You can talk about other stuff.
No, other than work, it's pretty much hobby. So I've almost finished building the 50 battle line units of the Tyranids. There's been, because I've got a lot of the older Termagants, so there's quite a bit of cleaning up with the deburring.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I have looked a little bit into some AoS armies as my partner is looking at getting into AoS.
Nice.
So I think I'm going to be doing some Seraphon eventually, but I'm more still focusing on the Tyranids for the battle reports. So I'm aiming to start painting them Monday, Tuesday, and get the process of the 50 battle line units, which is 30 Termagants, 3 squads of 10 with different weapons, 10 Hormagaunts, and the 10 Gargoyles.
Yeah, it's going to be a big grind, but
at
the end, like when you've got that done and they're like sitting on the tabletop,
it's going to look cool. Yeah.
It's going to be this massive swarm and it's just going to look so cool.
Yeah.
Lachie, what have you been up to? Basing 3 colours, no doubt.
Apparently. I do it once. No, it's 2 colours basic basing. I don't know, what have I been painting? Deathwing Knights, Inner Circle Companions.
This is working towards a list, a specific list.
Yeah. So me and Ash were having a game out there before.
Team Vic list?
It's a team tournament next weekend. I'm building the list too, and there's been a few Team Australia players I'm been testing it against, and
Team Australia players.
Team Australia. There's a few.
Look at this guy rolling with the big boys.
Big names you would know.
I would know. I probably don't know any of them.
Nah. BFG Justin. No, I've been doing that. Just kind of painting. Unfortunately, yes, I've had to battle ready some. It hurts me. I'm not gonna lie. It also hurts me that I know you're lingering around like a shadow, like that demon and angel over the shoulder going, oh, 3 colours. Oh. But look, if I had to paint that, it'd probably take me like not 6 months, maybe 12 months to like paint all that.
As much as I sort of like rib you here and there and make fun of it, I mean, there's no possible way you can play at that standard, change the lists, and and be able to paint to a massively high standard. Like it'd be fantastic, and I hope you do get your stuff to like your maximum standard at a stage. And I believe you will, but yeah, now it's pretty tough to do that type of stuff.
But who knows? But apart from that, working. That's it. Just doing some serious flexing while you're streaming.
Yeah. Coming in.
I wish people saw what I did last night. I looked like I was like diving into the water.
Tell you, one day I'm going to set up the obs bot and you won't even know. And I'll hear you open the door and I'll flick it to the obs bot and all it will be is full screen of you doing your wide stance.
There's a thing every time I'm painting, Justin walks past and do these like huge tents to like almost you're going to pass out. You're holding on that hard. And then I do it to him and I just try to think of stupid stuff to do. So that's me.
Nice. Ash, fortnightly catch up. Not that we heard you last fortnight, but
well, obviously Saturday, so turned up on the right day. But last couple of weeks, I've been probably a bit all over the shop with my hobby. Doing I think I was Necromunda terrain last couple of days. Doing a couple of lists or gangs for Necromunda, painting some Courage on Overlords. Finally settled on a scheme.
No. This is version 7?
It is version 7 after about a couple of repeats of
Don't tell me you've wound all the way back to the original, like
the Barracks on.
No,
not.
Oh man, because they were so good.
I got to see him all. He posted them all the versions.
Dude, he did a Barracks on. I think it was the first ones you did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I was like, man, they look elite. And you're like, yeah, no, they're cool. And you did like maybe 2 dudes.
Yeah.
And then change it up. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I went. I think I went red to blue to red to blue, and then I've settled on a. It's a bit more grim dark actually, and I've been which it might sound silly, but I'm very excited about getting back into painting metallics.
Right.
Because you
hate metallics.
I hate metallics.
I might take this chance. You can keep chatting. I'm going to show some of the people, some of your models, so you guys won't be able to see them.
I saw them. Look good.
Yeah, I've got one of his. I've got one of his Ogrins on right now, which is it was a work in progress, but this is your Astra Militarum army that you're working on for our battle reports. So for people that don't know, this is the Ash that's going to be piloting the Astra Militarum.
The Ash.
The Ash. The Ash. So that's your Ogren there. We've got a guardsman of the same platoon. Have you got an actual platoon name at all? No.
Yeah, the short answer is no. I've sort of been working around with a few things, but
obviously led by Commander Ash.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just Commander Ash. No other names.
Every single time it's always
general.
Like, there was like a tyrant for his ogres, and it was Tyrant Ash.
Tyrant Ash.
That's wicked.
And there was when Commander Pask was a model, it was Commander Pashk.
I remember that. I remember that fondly, actually.
And here's some of your cool Necromunda, which I mean,
thank you.
You get around your Necromunda a lot, and you have too.
Yeah, Necromunda's
we've tried to coax Lachie into it. We have tried to coax Lachie in it. So here's one of your core door. I don't think you ended up expanding on your core door much, did you?
No, I didn't. I settled on a scheme, and then I didn't like the scheme.
Why does that now sound like a surprise? And here's your gang as well. It's a little bit of a darker photo, but it's your slave ogrins, which are sick.
Oh yeah,
very
cool.
Thank
you. Yeah. The orange I think was quite a bit of a challenge. I ended up doing contrast, and I wasn't exactly happy with the highlights, but they did actually. I guess when you put them all together, they look quite nice. I was pretty happy.
They look awesome.
Thank you. But yeah, I guess other than the Necromunda and the Courage on Overlords, I have been chipping away at the 2,000 points of Astra Militarum that I'm playing Lachie tonight with. Really, that scheme took 2 years in and of itself, and just knocking away at a few things and balancing that with obviously I've got two young girls and family, so the job.
Life. Balancing life and hobby can be a little bit tricky, but you still manage to do it because you do a fair amount of painting. And like you said, that Astra Militarum has been like, a year in the works?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people are just like, oh, I want to be playing the game. I need to smash this army out. And like quite often it sort of demotivates you. I don't know. Like I've paced myself with my Blood Angels, and across the space of 4 years, I've painted 3,000 points, and it hasn't always been stuff that I wanted to take to like games. It's been stuff I've been wanting to paint. So like I painted some Outriders because I was like, man, that'd be sick to paint, and that sort of kept me motivated. So like that's an example, very good example of painting for a year on a project, but painting at your own pace with no real massive expectations of it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to process how much Ash should have painted if he could stick to a color scheme.
If Ash could, don't let's not even start. Yeah, it would be insane.
It took I think it's 2,700 points of ogres that I stuck to because I don't know. I guess I had more time then. No kids.
You love your ogres, but
I do. Yeah, I really enjoyed them. Age of and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but yeah.
You do actually love ogre because you've painted slave ogres in Necromunda. You absolutely love Bulgrins and Ogrins.
Yes. Yep.
The Astra Militarum.
Yep.
And then a full ogre Gutbuster army. Was that what they were?
Yeah, they're Ogre tribes now. They were Gutbusters back then, and then there is a little bit of Beastclaw Raider in them for those who played Age of Sigmar early, but they're all now under the one banner of Ogre tribes.
So on that, talking about Ash's projects, how did it all sort of start for you? Like this is the origin story. Were you one of the people that discovered it yourself, or did someone introduce you to it? Because it's very rare do we speak to someone that was like, oh no, I sort of just found this by myself.
Yeah, and I guess the very start of it, I was introduced to it by a friend of mine when I was 16, but I bought one box of Tau. Which nothing against Tau, obviously, but I bought one box of Tau. I think they were Pathfinders. I've got no idea. I painted them in this horrific blue and white scheme and did the classic green base. It was absolute
Goblin green bases.
Yeah, goblin green bases.
That would have looked really good next to blue and white.
Well, I think it was little. Actually, I reckon I would have been younger than 16, but it was a very short-lived foray, we'll call it, into Warhammer, and I didn't really. It wasn't much for me at the time, but
didn't click like.
Yeah, I didn't understand the purpose of the game. In fact, back then I think it was I painted it, and then that was pretty much it. And we put them on a board, and we just talked about I don't know
how cool they look.
Yeah, that was about it. So I didn't quite understand what I do love. I think collectively amongst a number of parts of the hobby, which is the game, and I really enjoy the game, which brings me to sort of why I got or how I got back into the hobby, or perhaps really like started down the full rabbit hole that is Warhammer, which was probably about 2014. I'd been smashing computer games. My work at the time was shift work, and I think I lost a fair bit of my social circle. Like I think it's a fair concession. And
did you just get a bit older and sort of drift apart? Or?
Yeah, I think that and, distance. I moved probably about 30 minutes away from, and I know that doesn't sound like much, but when you're time poor and shift working, sort of that additional 30 minutes or hour both ways travel really did sort of, I wouldn't say isolated me, but it made that, catch up every 1 week or two, maybe once every month. And then I sort of just, we'll call it disconnected and, from my usual social circle, and and so I was really looking for something that I could do socially again without getting back into sport.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you guys have found it. I'm a bit older than you guys, but I had friend circles that I drifted apart from, and eventually made new ones. So mine started with the guys I played sport with a lot, and then they started having kids and stuff, and I was just like, I'm not doing that type of stuff. And then I found the hobby, and then I found a heap of friends in the hobby. Like I legitimately found and created a heap of friends in the hobby. I worked with Mark beforehand, but like it's how I met Lachie, my housemate. It's how I met you. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we're going to touch on that point.
Yeah, we definitely will. I remember, in fact, I have my now wife to thank for getting back into the hobby because perhaps full concession. I was not perhaps brave enough to step back into the hobby store. It for me, which may sound a bit odd, it was an intimidating process.
No, they 100% agree. They are an intimidating area.
Yeah.
I think stores have tried to stop it being as intimidating. I think they've prevented people playing in store and being in store as much, which has maybe made it less intimidating in a way.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, because one of the biggest concerns I had was walking into this store and having like no idea or concept about what I was looking at, what I was looking at buying, and just a complete sort of like feeling of inadequacy. We surrounded by people who were obviously much more across the hobby than I was certainly at the time. But yeah, I went in and I bought some Necrons. Tower Necrons, yes. They lasted a little while, and the reason I picked Necrons was Dawn of War was a really great game.
Good game.
Yeah,
Very good.
Unreal.
Touching back on the whole intimidation factor, what advice would you give to people now that aren't in the hobby and that are watching our podcast? It's very niche group of people there.
Yeah.
But for people that are wanting to get into the hobby,
yeah.
How do you think they go about it? Like, was there, should have you had that concern that you had, or
no? And that's a really good question. I think the advice I would give to people, which I think those with more confidence in the hobby probably do quite well, which is don't worry about what other people are thinking. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Like, think about what you want to do. If you want to paint, if you just want to build, if you want to get back into the social side of, I guess, what is broadly wargaming, just walk through that front door with as much confidence as you should have, and grab what you want. That's it. Like, otherwise you'll just sit there in what I was doing, and I reckon it took me about a month to finally step through that door.
I tell you,
and I had to bring my wife with me.
If it wasn't for Mark, I probably wouldn't have walked in a store by myself either.
Yeah.
Which is funny, mate, because I remember walking in the store the first time and I took one look at you and I thought, oh, geez, look at that guy.
I'll just walk
he looks serious.
You just walk in, buy the biggest thing, tuck it under the arm, and just look at everyone and go, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Couple bang blades under the arm.
Yeah, I probably had a little bit of resting bitch face, I think.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part.
You were just hyper focused, mate. Hyper focused.
And the looks up.
Yeah. He did. He at the time wearing much, I think, more slim glasses, and you had the ability to like look over them. And it was just, oh shit! Oh, he's looking at me. So
yeah, because he interrupted his paint tutorial. That's why he was midway through.
Yeah. I wouldn't know. I used to go in every weekend and paint.
Yeah. I remember those days quite fondly. Actually, that sort of 2016, maybe to 19 era where it was me, you, I think Ben, and then Will towards the end. Just every day. Well, every weekend day.
Silver Tower as well.
Yep.
Smashed out Silver Tower. It was like 5 of us, and we'd go in every weekend and just play Silver Tower. It was so good.
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fond memories.
Still did it for a bit on Sundays at GW when Will was working.
Yeah, then I came in because Will was working. He wasn't my housemate at that point, was he? No. But yeah, I came in because you asked me to come in.
True.
And that's why I came in and started painting, because you wanted help. So I came in to help you.
From the ashes, I got him back.
Well, I was still painting. an absolute heap. But yeah, you messaged me on Insta and you were like, I want to improve at painting. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then we met up and
I gave him a few pointers.
The rest is history. Yeah. He was like, you showed me not what to do.
Yeah.
don't get.
That's still helpful.
Don't get sterling mud and put it on the lip of your face.
I still have that exact model actually where you said it. God.
Yeah, so you finally committed. You went into Games Workshop. You picked up Necrons.
Yep.
Because of Dawn of War.
Yep. Because and look, they also they looked like an easy color scheme. I was
At the
wrong.
time, yeah.
Oh,
that box
yeah.
art, the silver with the
Yeah,
black
yeah.
guns. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there null oil back then?
yeah.
It's
Yeah, the
always
proper
been
stuff,
around,
mate.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
proper.
Yeah,
you can
not-
still make it.
The fully loaded null oil.
Actually, here's a hobby hack. Right,
Oh,
every
okay.
year's one.
Here we go.
Strap yourselves in.
Nah,
Hobby hacks with Team Vic Lachie.
yeah. So get your null oil, however you say it, whatever. Leave me alone. Then put 5 drops of contrast Abaddon Black. My English is horrible. Anyway, you put 5 drops of contrast Abaddon Black, and it's the old oil.
Is it?
Yep.
Does it taste the same?
It tastes the same because I've picked up the habit of Justin rinsing your paintbrush and putting it in your mouth. I don't even know why I started doing it. Mrs. hates me now for it.
Come to
Hates-
bed
hates
with
just
like
hates-
Everyone's a brush licker though.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
there's so many times I forget to like wash my brush, and I'll just put
Oh,
it in and
yeah,
there's
no.
paint all over them.
Oh, mate.
Drama. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on from that one.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
committed to the Necrons, but then you didn't stick with them?
I didn't stick with them, but I did actually. I don't know that I'd call it fully painted, but I did Novak Dynasty, and I spent a good 6 months trying to.
Hang on, wait, the ones with the red?
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
I help you with them?
No, you did later on in the piece. Remember, we did. We went to a doubles tournament with double Necrons,
Oh yeah.
and we did Novak,
And we did so bad.
Yeah. In fairness, though, anyone who's seen Justin roll, if it's not a 1 or a 2,
Don't
Ash.
even start, bro.
Ash, they've seen him. They do gambers on the stream. And well, the other night, I actually literally yelled out, went, Justin, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you'd always bet on a 1 or 2 roll from Justin. But yeah, so what was it? I think it was the 2, I can't remember the year edition, but there was a Necron Codex where the Novak Dynasty had like a brown, an orangey red hue to it, and it was really it looked sick. It had gold sort of runes iconography painted on it, and I tried to copy that, and that was impossible. So I binned the Necrons.
The thing with you is I think you set extremely high expectations,
Yeah.
and I feel like you actually achieve them, but in your own mind, you're your own worst enemy, and you're just like, no, this is not exactly like what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's right.
This will
in the
not
bin.
do. I must stop.
In the bin.
in the bin.
binned it,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, mate.
Brutal. This
Actually,
guy's
in the
brutal.
bin.
No, yeah, in the bin. So yeah, that
He's had guys come to his door to buy stuff, and the guy like undersold him.
yeah.
He told me the story. He's like, a guy came to buy something. He tried to undersell him. He's like, I'd prefer to smash this on the ground in front of you
it was-
than
yeah.
take the money you've offered me.
That might sound a little bit aggressive, but it was my Alienware PC. It was quite good. It was only 3 years old. And I wanted to sell it for $200, and I bought it for I think $4,000. They maybe are a bit overcosted. So, but tried to sell it for $200 3 years after the fact. So I thought it was pretty reasonable. And he said, "I'll give you $75." And I said, "I would rather put my foot through the motherboard." I thought that was pretty reasonable. I don't know.
300, 200. No, 200.
Yeah, I was going to sell it for $200.
Alienware's expensive.
Yeah, they are. And I was like $200. I thought
That's a
the
good
lease,
price, yeah.
the case was $75. I was like, no, mate. I'll put this foot through the motherboard. I'll do it. And
Jerry.
guess what? I didn't put my foot through the motherboard, but I put that computer in the bin.
Did he not buy it?
No, I didn't want to pay $200. So I said, no worries, mate. This wasn't.
You're notorious for your like binning of stuff.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm like, dude, if you've got anything that's new on sprue, you need to give it to me.
I do though. I like to think I'm reasonably because I won't.
You just need a clean slate, don't you?
Yeah.
Clean slate.
No, well, sometimes and I think we've all been there. You buy a number of like maybe ancillary boxes like Elite. So for example, I did a Fire Slayer's army. Yeah, and I had two. I've got 2 boxes of Hearthguard left. They're still in shrink plastic wrap. They're and
If
I've
you
just
are
sort of-
going to throw them out,
No, don't
for
worry,
the
don't-
love
yeah,
of God,
yeah.
just bring them over.
No, I definitely won't be
They're
throwing them
already
out.
thrown out.
But I think we all sort of in the hobby, for those people who do jump around a bit, we do collect sort of a number of ancillary, I'll call them boxes of just models.
Yeah.
And I'm quite partial to throwing them in the bin. I do offer them to friends first though, because contribution to landfill. I'd like to keep that down.
Oh, so now you're worried.
Yeah. Don't judge me, everyone.
I've got an Ogryn from you that you gave me during Necromunda
Oh, there
because
you
you
go.
glued it together wrong or something. You're like, I don't
Yeah.
want this, and I was like, I'll take it. I'll
Yeah.
paint it.
So
right.
then you, well, we started going to some tournaments together.
Oh, we did.
That
Yes.
that was not the one of maybe 3 or 4 that we started going to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most exciting things about the time I joined the hobby was I joined, and this could be a very controversial comment, but I joined as Warhammer Fantasy Battles went out the window. And
You're opening up your own segue here.
well, I
Because
was-
this is one of the topics we're going to talk about, which is
yeah,
Age of Sigmar,
Yeah.
where it started, where it's been, and
Mm.
the future. Which we've only seen snippets, and we've seen some of the bigger influencers that have
Yeah.
been able to get their hands on it, and they obviously are all speaking pretty positively about it because they're getting, Games Workshop are getting them early access, so they've got to be like, oh yeah, this is going to be the most streamlined game ever. But
I love that.
But yeah, so Age of Sigmar,
Yeah,
where
And I
do we
guess-
start?
First
Yeah.
of all,
yeah.
out of your first take on it, out of 10, what would you rate it before you go into it?
This-
So if I had to say you've looked over it, out of 10, what from the outside, what do you think?
This new
Out
edition.
of 10, yeah.
I really like Age of Sigmar though, so they'd have to do a lot of damage for me to give it anything under a 9.
Oh,
And
biased.
and yeah, and I certainly am biased, and I do really like I really like the rule set that sits behind Age of Sigmar. I like the story. I like a number of components of the game.
Which is pretty big for you because we are talking a lot about you starting multiple painting projects, but
yeah,
you do very much like the technical side of gaming, like the ins and outs, the nuances of it, and stuff like that.
like and I like in Age of Sigmar. Others may have a different opinion, but I've always found in the games that I've played and the tournaments that I've played at, although there's always a meta, there are lists that can do very well, subject to the general, obviously, against pretty much everything. And I've always found that to be true for Age of Sigmar.
So,
I really love it.
what you're saying is it's pretty well balanced from your opinion. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Or-
look, anyone who's played throughout the years of Age of Sigmar, it has at times, new codex has really shaken up sort of the meta, and for all those poor OBR or Ossiarch Bone Reapers players who had to suffer, I'll call it that odd transition where essentially their command ability equivalent sort of went out the window. There has been some times where armies have really suffered and other armies have really excelled. But by the main, it's always been quite a balanced game,
So
in my opinion.
What rules
Except for the start. when there was no points.
Yeah.
Is that when it had the rules, like if you had a beard and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So that was the very beginning of
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar. And I don't think people knew it was coming, right? I think End Times was sort of a bit of a shock. Like that was sort of like the story, and then it just went bang, and then they were just like, well, there's no more fantasy. Here's this new Age of Sigmar. And obviously it wasn't received well by the very loyal players, which funnily enough is one of the reasons. I understand that, but that is also one of the reasons why people like Ash found it hard to go in store, because that gaming system itself was an extremely hard learning curve. So if you were brand new to it, it was very, very hard for anyone to get into that type of game because you needed to know a lot of information to play it. But on the positive side, like it sort of appeals to people like you yourself now. And I think, Lachie, you would very much enjoy fantasy if you ever sort of looked at it because of the tactics behind it, like flanking units, and a lot of your rules are inside the core rule book as well.
Yep.
So like you need to really know the ins and outs of the game, which is why it was hard for new people, but very good for experienced people to play. But
Nice.
then, Age of Sigmar dropped.
Yep.
And it was we didn't know what was going to happen with it. There's no information like we're going to put any structure behind this. It dropped, and then they had those wild rules, like absolutely insane rules, which, I mean, we can ramble off a few. We'll probably get a heap of them wrong. There was one where, if you had a mustache, you got +1 to hit or something. Talking to a model.
Yeah, the one of my favorite ones was there was a wah. So like if you shouted out wah like an actual one, I think it was +1 to the charge or something like that. It was outrageous.
I think there was one you get +1 attack if you put your foot through a motherboard.
I didn't do that one.
I specifically remember there was a Medusa one because I played this guy, Steve, and I think the Medusa made you like -1 to hit if you looked at your opponent in their eyes when they were going to roll the dice. And I was like, he was about to roll the dice, and I was like, shit. I just looked into the eyes, and he's like, yeah, that's -1 to hit or something. And I was like, yeah. Which made it a lot of fun. It did make a lot of fun.
It would make it fun if you like drinking beers and.
Oh yeah, it was definitely
It'd be a lot of fun for playing with your friends, but imagine someone else coming in brand new and there's just a dude staring at you while he's holding his dice, and they're like, "What is going on here?" And you're trying to look away from
I
it.
just go cross-eyed. Like, look at me.
Yeah, you pick up like your Manfred one, you're like, okay, buddy. we're going to do really well here. And then you're like, that's +1 to hit. And then it's like, what's that, Manfred? Hang on. You like my beard? Oh, he spoke back. That's +1 to wound now.
Yeah.
He spoke back.
Yeah, he need to speak back for you to get both
They're
bonuses.
coming through the walls.
Yeah. Oh, one of the funniest ones was the Skaven with the Doom Bell. If you rolled a 13 on 2 dice, you won the game.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you legitimately had to cheat and you would win the game.
Yeah. And there was
Which leans in towards Skaven and obviously the number 13 very,
What do you
very
have to
well.
roll 3 dice?
No,
it had to be on 2 dice.
Yeah, you just had to cheat.
I'll just say it's 13.
No, you literally had to make a dice that had a 7 on it.
Oh, so you could take like a D20.
I'm trying to work out if they allowed a
No, you'd have
modifier
to
to
get
that,
rid
but
of
I don't
like
think
one
so.
of those.
I think it was just
What's that?
I'm trying to work out whether they were ever allowing a modifier to that because there was.
There was no modifier. You literally had to cheat.
Yeah, there was.
Crazy.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
What have you seen with the new edition? That's like you've seen, and you're like, oh, that's good. Or I'm glad they fixed that. Or compared to what is it? Is this the fourth edition?
Yeah. So,
So like, what's good between 3rd and 4th that you think someone that's played a lot?
Well,
they're like,
where did you play
that's-
most of your Age of Sigmar?
yeah, so Games Workshop played heaps of Age of Sigmar at Games Workshop in the
Which editions?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
2?
I played all of them. The only edition, or I probably refer to them more by their General's Handbook. And for those of you who remember Galatian Veterans or Galley Vets for those that abbreviated, that was the last edition of the General's Handbook that I played. Mainly because not long after that edition, the brand new Cadian models came out.
Yeah,
and then I flipped over. So so majority of my play was separated out between the inception of Age of Sigmar and that final edition, which was the last tournament I went to was with the Galatian Veterans.
I feel like you were playing a lot of Age of Sigmar back when we went to the first Grand Alliance. I feel like that's when we were playing an absolute ton of it.
Yeah. I didn't have any kids then. So yeah, heaps of Age of Sigmar. I think before that tournament we had quite a number in GW, sort of 16 person, in-store tournaments, which were really a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I really like about Age of Sigmar. You know, we all, even when it was released and it had no points, that for me was a great opportunity to build the army that I wanted to play for the more importance sort of world narrative that I played a heap of games for on the side of destruction. And it's just that sort of stuff. That's what appeals to me in the wargaming setting, is that greater narrative, the technical parts of the wargaming, the painting, and the social side of it. So
Nice.
I love Age of Sigmar.
It is very good. It is very good.
Yeah, it's great, and the models are fantastic. So.
Yeah.
No,
Always,
I was literally
well-
saying that the other night when
say
we're
say it on
painting-
stream all the time. They're just better.
They're cool looking.
They're,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
better than the 40k range. They
Because
just are.
I was on Discord with Ash and some of us jump on for paint, and I remember I was going through the website just looking
Yeah.
at models, and I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to paint. And yeah, I literally said, who is designing these versus 40k? Because 40k they do kind of look a bit, kind of pull up your ass a bit. They look just a bit robotic. Where like Age of Sigmar, they've got
Lego,
all,
a little bit Lego man.
yeah, a little bit. Like, and then Age of Sigmar, like they've got these dudes riding dragons, and it's all it's all happening. Like I know it's fantasy.
fluent models,
Yeah, I know it's fantasy and they've got a lot more play, but I was like, do something.
Games Workshop.
It's just
Yeah.
Lockie from Saber Studios has some advice.
do something, fool.
Do something.
Lift.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, so I've briefly looked over some War Scrolls
Yep.
for the new Age of Sigmar, and it looks very good. It
does.
looks to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks to me like they've put more information on your War Scroll for your unit than what was previously there.
Kind of in a much more succinct way. So from what I've seen, and again, I'm one of those people that would prefer to wait for the book to come out. I've seen a couple of reviews, but I really want to get it in my hands, which I think will hopefully be next weekend.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to
Yeah.
You have so many. I know we get leaks and stuff, but so many people lose their minds over codexes and rule books, and they're just like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god!" And it's like, just
wait.
Yeah,
just
chill out.
wait, just
Yep.
wait. Like, and majority of the time, if something is a bit too crazy, it gets balanced
Yes.
pretty damn
Yep.
fast.
Yeah, 100%.
And so what it looks like they've done, especially from some of the faction reviews, is that they've made what is specific to the unit on the unit's war scroll, and then a number of core rules that are associated with it down in the bottom in the keywords section, which I am a massive fan of, because the one thing that I also like 40k, but the one thing that sort of frustrates me a bit about 40k is access to rules. And I know GW and like, they're a business, so they paywalled it.
Don't worry, dude.
Yeah,
I've,
okay. Yeah.
Again, without saying, back on the stream, I've touched on it all the time. I think Age of Sigmar is fantastic in that you get to see every single war scroll from every single army. It's just the army rules, the detachments, and the enhancements are locked behind the codex.
It's the done. Like
And
I
that-
said,
and it's the way it should-
it's stupid.
It's the
I'm
way it
paying-
should be.
You pay $120 a year. To be honest, I'd prefer to pay maybe $150 a year if I can
See everything.
see everything.
Yeah.
And I think
It's-
like the $50, $60 codex, yeah, it's cool, but like I bought the Dark Angel codex, did the code, it's on the app. And it's
Well, I did that and I didn't get, and mine stuff's up.
Yeah, well, there you go, GW. Do better times two. But
That's rough.
like, it's a digital world now, and like, let's be honest, if you go into a tournament, unless you're doing like nights or something, everyone's got a trolley, everyone's got all this stuff. The last thing people want to really be doing is carrying like, I suppose you can bring the core rules, but if you're bringing like 2-3 books,
No, well, that's what ends
If you-
up happening through,
exactly.
supplements.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not
but
like
but if
they-
you can just
they-
put it on your phone, click it, yep, cool. You pay, if you pay a bit more, they're about money. I know, but at some point, just like maybe the detached some stuff you can't see, but surely you should be able to see.
Yeah,
data
I think
shit.
it should.
Yeah,
It should just be the
silly.
same. It should be the same as Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Your relics enhancements, your detachment abilities, and your
Yeah.
army abilities are locked. But everything else you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I should still be able to see everything the Dark Angels
Yeah.
have. Just and it helps with gaming too,
Yeah.
right? Because if someone's like, "Oh, my Azrael gives my unit sustain hits 1," and you don't know that, but you know that,
Mm.
it's good for you to be able to look it up
Yeah.
as well. You know,
But
Or
codexes used
warriors
to
having
be
full squads of venom cannons.
yeah, 6 venom cannons in warrior squads.
get that up here. But like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but codexes used to be more about like the artwork and the lore than the rules. So I feel like they've gone away from that. And it's mainly like, here's the rules, here's a little bit of lore, here's some artwork you've seen for 6 editions in a row. And it's like,
Yeah, that's like the painting guides in the Age of Sigmar
and it's
battle
kind of
tomes.
like, isn't that what you used to pay for? You get the cool artwork, and then kind of towards the end of the book, it's like, oh, look, here's some Crusade and rule stuff. Like, why don't they still do that? Pay for the artwork, pay for the lore,
stories and stuff.
then you know, whatever, the rules are rules. Like, they're not short of money. Like, you know, do better.
Yeah.
Times 3, you're out. 3 strikes, get out.
I think though that's one of the most
tickets.
exciting parts of this new edition is that it looks like they have tried really hard to increase the player experience at the tabletop, as in less fights, very clear rules around what people have, what standards do, what hornblowers do, or musicians, I think they're calling them, and made it so that everyone knows what they do.
They are getting better at that.
Yeah, and again, like,
bringing back to the point of opening up the codexes and stuff and having people be able to see them.
Yeah,
I think if anything, it's a bonus, because how many people out there are like flicking through a codex and seeing rules and being like, I'm gonna start that army.
Yeah.
But if you can't find those rules, then man.
I was going to say that earlier. It opens up that alleyway for people to go, hey, I'm interested in this army. I can look into it a little bit. Hey, cool. This playstyle sounds like it suits me.
Yeah.
But when you've got to purchase it, it can just deter you, because it's
But the thing with the codex is right, they're updating rules, like data sheet
yeah,
rules.
the codex
War's got
is
rules.
now obsolete.
There's some books that even before they come out, they're obsolete. Like Votan in 9th edition, about 60% of the book was rewritten even before it came out. And people had pre-ordered books, $60. So I know they will eventually. They seem to be listening to people, but it's kind of just like, you know, get on with the times a little bit. Just go digital, you know, charge a bit more. I think people would be happy for that.
do you want to hear something funny?
Tell me.
Age of Sigmar was digital,
Yeah, well.
and they've gone. I think, again, I haven't seen the new edition. It used to be you could buy a digital codex online and that'd be it. You wouldn't have to buy a physical book, and now here we are.
Yeah, I know they have the QR code because they, you know, forces you to buy.
Well,
it.
I think the reason why they stopped just doing full digital was people were finding full codexes online.
You still can.
I mean, how do I do the gambas?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just
And I think, that sort of access to rules, the fairness at the tabletop, all of that creates a really great player experience. And I know that when I was playing a lot of Age of Sigmar, I could turn up against most people's armies and they would say, my unit does this. And I would go, I know, thanks.
nice.
A hell of a lot nicer than I'm going to re-roll this and that, and it's now AP 6 and it's damage 15. It's
He
like,
looks me in the eyes and
but it creates that. It creates the really that sounds pretty good. Like, you sure? And I can't check it. So
Yeah.
and like I don't want that in my game. So yeah.
Yeah, handing books over the table to go, yeah, see, look,
Yeah.
this is what it does.
And I don't like again, full disclosure, I like to play the rules, as in like just the
I
rules. No funny. Well, you know what? There are
6 venom cannons.
some people I've there are some people I've played that
What are their names?
no. I definitely
We'll just call them
wouldn't
Lisa
name check.
S. I mean, L. Simpson.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't name
Griffin.
and shame, because I'm sure that everyone makes mistakes. I've certainly made mistakes on the tabletop before this.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I bloody pulled them up.
yeah.
Oh,
He had
so
ballistic-
you were the one doing AP4.
No,
Yeah.
he had ballistic 3 Ogrins. And I was
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah.
that's some super accurate Ogrins.
Yeah. In fairness to me though, I didn't get through that. Didn't commence that shooting phase. But yeah, a really good point is that was very, because we're friends, was like quite easy to navigate through. But
And I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for my like
Yeah.
my
Legendary
absorbing
knowledge.
absorbing knowledge
Yeah.
of me briefly flicking through the Astra Militarum thing and seeing Ogrins and being like, yeah, Ogrins are pretty cool. I'm like, they can't hit for shit.
Yeah.
No, they can't. That's a very classic ogre trait.
Unless you got Blues of Steel 3.
Yeah.
And with 6 venom cannons.
Yeah. Ogrins with venom cannons.
That's what.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. Well,
Spartan lasers. There you go.
but yeah, and I think I don't know. I'm looking forward to just that new edition.
You're playing 40k. Stop
Wait,
fooling
what-
everyone.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what are you are you going to play your ogres? You think you play your ogres in?
Yeah, so I've still got them. Which I tell you
Boy,
what,
hang on.
they were
Hold up. Hold
Wait just
Hold
a
up,
minute.
dude. Because this guy, we actually won a tournament together, like
Yes.
a Grand Alliance tournament, which I
Yep.
think there was like 30 people there, maybe
Yeah,
24 or
yep,
something.
yep.
So it wasn't small.
No,
But it wasn't massive either. But we still won it. A
They're
2v2.
still good.
yeah,
It's 20 away from a GT.
I've got my army sitting in the cabinet, top shelf, because they
'Cause
won
you-
a tournament.
because you painted it.
Yeah, what happened to yours?
It's in the bin.
What?
Won a tournament with an army.
Like actually in the
Fully,
bin.
did you throw it in the bin?
Yeah, no, it's in the bin.
Was
Yeah.
it like green waste or recycling week?
Yeah, I can't remember, but it's in the bin.
Straight in the
So-
general.
Don't tell me those ogres are never going in the bin.
Oh,
Don't do it.
Be serious.
look, I can't make. I
No,
can't make any
you can.
promises. Yeah, but like the cabinet
Say it,
space is at a
in
premium.
front of the 8 people that are in chat right now. I don't know how many people are there. You're not throwing those ogres out.
That's
dude.
crazy.
No,
Why?
I was going to sell them. I was actually going to try and sell them for like $300.
You will easily sell them for $300. It's 2,000 points of well painted.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, people in chat right now, are you looking for an ogre army?
Yeah, the
If not, Ash is going to step on him.
I was going to say I did some
He's going to get a motherboard.
Plus one to
I
him.
think Will and I did some photographs of those ogres. So they do look
some
pretty
artistic
cool.
ones.
Yeah.
They are very good,
Yeah.
and you're keeping them.
Yeah, I definitely am for now. I don't plan on playing them unless a tournament comes up early days because I do really want to. I really want to go to a tournament with Caradron Overlords. It's sort of the first time that I've really felt like, and I know KO have had some success in the previous edition, so I'm not suggesting this is the first time they've got a decent codex, but the way that they are selling how they're going to play in the new edition is quite exciting to me, and I've had them for forever, and I don't want to throw them in the bin. So
Yeah, I've had them for a while actually, because I remember you getting them back just before COVID when we were
Yeah.
doing the Age of Sigma here.
yeah,
Nice.
so we'll see what happens. But yeah, at this stage, the ogres are occupying a very nice shelf in my cabinet.
Forever.
For now, apparently.
Yeah,
It's
they're sweating.
like Andy from Toy Story.
Yeah.
Just when he gets too old, just home run.
Yeah,
Heavy.
Cool. So,
yeah.
future's bright for Age of Sigmar,
yeah. I think
according to Ash.
I really
if you're
think
ogres.
so.
Not if you use ogres.
No, I really think so, and especially
Pretty
anyone
grim.
who is watching who does want to get into Warhammer. If you are looking for a very simplistic rules system that offers a challenge, I would say, for those who are more experienced players who do get into the real nuances of ability stacking and real synergy from armies, Age of Sigmar is the game system for you.
There you go. Now we're going to there's no segue here. It wasn't smooth, but we're going to jump into some of the recent rules updates for Warhammer 40k. So this is a bit more for the experienced gamers, I guess, a little bit, but it might be helpful for people that are just getting into the game as well and have maybe played a few games and now they're like, oh, what's this new Pariah Nexus all about? So that's why Lachie's here. The man with the
My turn.
rules.
So I got to put the competitive glasses on. It's time to get serious.
Which, with saying that's where people can also
pit vipers.
not throw too much into an army and stress if people are talking about metas and stuff like
right,
that. Because
yeah.
don't do an Ash
Straight
and bin
in.
it. But like they're always updating stuff to try and keep the balance somewhat within the game. So just if you go into an army and you're hearing people talk about, oh, that army's not as good, or armies are always listed in order of the best to worst, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. So don't let it deter you from painting or playing what you want to play.
Yeah, with that point, it does make it very good for if if you really enjoy painting a specific army or you really enjoy the aesthetic of a specific army, but the rules are sort of deterring you a little bit, you shouldn't let them deter you because it doesn't take them that long to update stuff now.
Well, according to the internet, Nid's a bottom 3 at the moment, but I don't mind.
Were they wrong? No, I'm joking. So talking about that, so GW lately, I'd probably say the last, particularly this edition. So they have an MFM, Minotaurium Field Manual, and they do that every 3 months, which is like points. So if like a certain model, unit, character, whatever, is too cheap or too expensive, every 3 months they'll look at those and adjust the points. If it's really
like the Redeemer for the Space Marines.
Yeah, like the Redeemer, a big knight, whatever it is. If the points are really, really egregious, they'll maybe throw in like an emergency update. But every 6 months is a data slate, and a data slate is actual rules on like what you call data sheets, war scrolls, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so some weapons have even changed. So
Weapons,
I think the Tyrannofex's cannon,
heavy
rupture
venom cannon
changed, and
The aura of the Hive Tyrant changed.
yeah, so it's very good.
Yeah.
I guess because they've got a lot of data because of games that get played through tournaments and stuff, they can see how things are performing, and maybe they're getting information from, I guess, some of the higher level gamers and just being like, hey, I've played Tyranids for ages and they're really struggling. It feels like this specific unit itself isn't doing what it should be doing. So they try to adjust accordingly.
Yeah. And then along with that, it's usually once a year they change the missions. So everyone might have known Leviathan. That was like the 10th edition launch box, Leviathan, and it had Leviathan missions. And it was last week, 2 weeks ago, the new missions came out, which is Pariah Nexus. So people that aren't fully into gaming or want to and not really sure and all over it, each mission deck, mission pack has deployments, mission rules, primary missions, and secondary missions. And then you draw them, whether you're at a tournament, they tell you what it is, or if you're with friends, you just draw random ones. And then you have your secondaries, and then you draw them, discard. I won't go into too much how it works, but that has been refreshed, and people kind of calling it 10.5. So there's like new things to do in the game, new missions, new deployment layouts. So it's kind of a new refresh. And then this is with the data slate, there's a lot of core rule things that have changed. We can go into it if
we can go into it for sure. What are some of the I guess most drastic or major changes that have occurred and what have they changed from?
So it's a bit controversial. I actually think it's mainly controversial because a lot of people actually probably didn't play this rule correctly, which is pivoting.
Yep.
So now if you're pretty much not on a like circle base, you got to pay what we call pay to pivot. So you got to say you got a movement of 10 and you need a pivot. You just take 2 off your movement and you can pivot as many times as you want. Originally, you had to pass something and then pay to however much you pivot. So for an example, a land raider driving past a building would have to drive all the way past, and that pivot would going from, let's just say, 0 degrees to 90 degrees would be 6 inches. Now you only lose 2 inches and you can just pivot as many times as you want. And it goes back to what Ash was saying, where it kind of clears up in a way, like
arguments and
people.
stuff. People were probably taking advantage of turning longer vehicles to get extra distance travel.
Yeah, like some people wouldn't even pay
or better line of sight.
Yeah, so it's not like people's fault, but a lot of people just didn't know you had to pay movement, like pay inches to pivot.
Yeah.
So I
didn't know.
So I think people now being like, oh, -2, and they might get a bit rattled by that. But another thing in the competitive scene is once you pivot, it can, for only specific models, can actually increase your movement for like range, charging. So like you are on an oval. If you to pivot from here to here will actually gain you more movement.
Yeah, I think I've seen maybe a meme with a ghost arc. Is it?
Yeah.
That's the biggest one I can think of. Yeah, the old swivel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the 2 inches.
So
Which
there'll be-
people were doing this back in like 6th and 7th.
Yeah. I was
So
gonna
you
say
would
seven.
you would essentially get a ghost arc and you would deploy them sideways against your deployment zone. And then when you have your first turn, you turn it and then it's 3 inches longer or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get your movement. And it was just like, yeah, cool.
people are doing that similar out of Deep Strike
Yeah.
and at some egregious, tournaments and stuff. It'll get FAQ'd. But that's a big one. I think it is good. I've played a few games. It hasn't really come up. The only things, Ghost Arc is probably the worst, but a lot of it's like transports and stuff, like Venoms with Drukari. And it's like, well, they're moving like so fast anyway, like kind of who cares? Hasn't really. Another big one is knights. Big knights can actually just walk through walls now, which is good.
Terrifying.
So you can just walk straight through, but you'll have to take like a
Dangerous terrain test.
Yeah, like a dangerous terrain test. It's literally like a hazardous. So you roll a dice. On a 1, you're dead. No, I'm telling you, no, you're on a 1, you're battle shocked.
Risky.
Yeah, it's literally dangerous. It's literally dangerous terrain.
On a 1,
So-
you're just battle shocked, which I get it. It might mean you don't take an objective you move out to, but it means you can just walk through a wall and just destroy.
It's better than previous editions where you would get immobilized.
Pretty thematic.
Do you remember that? You
Yeah.
drive
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
difficult or dangerous terrain, you roll a 1 and it's just like,
Gone.
Didn't it be-
your tank can't move now.
Yep.
And wasn't there different terrains as well that there was? Like, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is good. It is pretty thematic. What does a knight weigh? Like probably 50, 60 ton more, 100. Who knows?
Shit, man, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Tipping in the thousands.
I don't have the code. I don't have the codex.
Let me Google it.
Yeah, I haven't unlocked it. But it's probably like a bit. It's
I'm going
probably should have
thousands.
done
I'm
it.
going
Yeah,
thousands.
I'm going thousands.
Primarchs can walk through now, like or pretty much the lion and Gilliman.
Yep.
Gollum can walk through.
What was that pronunciation?
Gollum can walk through.
It is getting late.
It's not that late. And he had dinner before this.
Belisarius Core can all walk through walls because originally they were monsters and they couldn't walk through walls, which doesn't really make sense. The dudes are chats and whatever.
I mean, technically, with the walls that are in the 41st millennium that have been rocked by artillery, I don't think any of those walls are keeping anyone out. So
true.
But yeah.
So that's another one. On like core rules, like Vect, something that
For people- for people out there, Vect was from the previous edition. It's modifying people's command point usage.
Yeah, so Vect is a saying as agents of Vect, which was a Drukari.
Do you know who Vect is?
No.
As Durable Vect is basically the leader of the Drukari. And I'm surprised we haven't seen a model for him. Games Workshop, get on that. We need to see him.
That's strike 4.
Yeah, he would be like their
I'm running out of strike space.
their like Reboot Gilliman model.
Gollum.
I don't know what's happening right now.
But it means you used to just be able to, on a battle tactic, only battle tactics, increase the price of a command point. So Armor of Contempt is one, or command point reroll.
Yeah, so you couldn't modify tactical ploys and stuff like that.
Tactical ploys, war gear. So it would just mean that something that was 1 CP is now 2, but they've changed it that it can it just increases the cost of a command point by 1, regardless of what it is, by 1, but you have to be within 12 inches of that unit using that stratagem. So, say you've Astra Militarum have an enhancement
Yes, I do.
that does it. So that particular character, not the unit, that particular character would have to be 12 inches, say, from my Dreadnought using Armor of Contempt. So if you were within 12, Armor of Contempt would cost me 2.
Yeah, so it's any battle tactic though. You don't specifically target one strat anymore. It's just any battle tactic is increased by 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's pretty good. It's good. It's a payoff that you have to get close to do it rather than just sitting back, picking out the best thing. So that's another good one. I think to be honest, I think that's pretty much it. I might have forgotten something, but doing
actions now. One of the actions have changed.
Actions were already there, but they never really called it actions like cleansing, deploying teleport homer. It was always actions, but I suppose now they actually call it actions. But that with the points and the data slate with, things getting like better damage with Tyranids. My Dark Angels actually got new rules. It does. It's a nice refresh. It's, enjoyable to play. It's always enjoyable playing with new rules, trying to figure out, what the new missions do. And
well, it's getting other units to be used that otherwise weren't being used.
Yeah.
So the Deathwing Knights are a good example. They were a fantastic kit when they came out. They looked absolutely amazing. People would have bought them up. Then they would have put on a tabletop and they would have been like, wow, these guys don't really do a hell of a lot. They absorb damage, but then really not doing what they used to do. And then changing their rules now, making them, AP2 2 damage?
Yeah, so...
Makes them quite effective now.
Inner Circle Companions.
Yeah.
They were really cool. Unreal.
Yeah, so it's good. It just means those models that weren't getting used are now getting used, which I'm all for. Like, it'd be so good if a codex was across the board. It didn't matter what you brought. Yeah, obviously, metas get created, but...
Look, I think... I've played a lot of games of 40k, and it is, at the moment, if you are what I suppose people call a faction specialist, whether you call yourself that, it just kind of means you play one faction for a very long period of time.
You're special.
I'm special, Gorman. And then the game is very balanced and in a very good spot where it kind of just means if you're good enough, any army can win. If you can get the balance right, and the missions are right. Sometimes missions aren't good for you, and that's just the way it goes, or deployment. But if it's a kind of, regardless of your list in a tournament, you should be all right. You should be all right. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good time for 40k, but. As we've said, if you're first getting into it and losing, it's a good thing. Go back to the earlier episodes when I was talking about when I first got in. I was just getting absolutely just smashed, destroyed. So, you're never going to learn anything just winning.
No.
So.
Yep. No.
So, yeah.
So, Age of Sigmar looks like it's going to be good. 40k looks like it's in a good place. Wargaming as a whole seems to be going pretty well.
Yeah.
I think so.
Andy.
And heading up in popularity too, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's
for sure. Mate, wait until
the TV show.
Wait until the TV show drops. Wait until Space Marine 2 drops.
Oh yeah.
Has this bloke saying he's not playing Space Marine 2. Couple weeks later, he's getting the computer.
He's got
then he shows me, I'm walking out of the room and he goes, oh yeah, can't wait to play Space Marine 2. And then I literally just stop. Like almost just 180 myself like within half a second and just said, what did you just say? He's
Chat's been asking me to do it.
And he's like, yeah, Space Marine 2, I was always doing it. Oh, no, you weren't. What are you talking about?
Chat's been
So-
asking
Don't
me
get
to do
distracted from
No,
the painting.
he's-
That's what he
he's
said
kidding.
originally.
Mate,
Hey, I'm still painting. I'm session
trailers,
Elden Ring.
Clear 3 months. I'm not even fine. I'm not going to
Hey,
tournaments.
I'm
playing
still
Space
session
Marine 2.
Elden Ring and I'm painting for 3 hours a night. I'm still doing it.
Oh, even I'm
doing it.
keen for Space
Space
Marine
Marine,
too. Yeah.
Mate, all of us are going to be playing. Ash will be playing. Maybe after he stopped throwing out armies, he'll be playing.
Yeah, there'll be a while before I play then.
Yeah, no.
So what do we got in the future? What do we got? What are you working on in the future, Ash?
I think next weekend, subject to the I guess, the new War Scrolls and the new app that I think is the 15th. We're going to be
is a brand new app too.
Yeah.
I did see that the old Age of Sigmar app is still going to exist. It's been updated. They're not getting rid of it.
No, and same with the last one. For all of those people who spent hundreds of dollars on digital codexes, like myself, they've still got the very first app. They've blacked out the most recent one for I believe we're getting drip fed the rules next week.
Right.
So I believe there'll be a staged release of the rules.
That's pretty cool.
It is cool, especially the way that they've sort of marketed it, and the way that you can play basic and then you can play advanced, and then the match play. I presume there's a couple of other steps to it, so it would be interesting. But yeah, just obviously depending on how that goes and how enticing that is to get straight into, it'll be a lot of Age of Sigmar and but also painting those KDNs for the inevitable battle reports, which I'm quite excited about.
Cool. Lachie.
I got a team tournament next week.
Is this the one Ash is going to? No, different one.
This is a 5-man
Team
team
Vic.
tournament. No, I'm Team Vic.
Team, what's your other team called?
Captain
Syndicate.
Syndicate.
So 5-man teams, there's like 50 players total. So just going to watch the little sparkle go out of everyone's eye once about turn 3 comes around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude's going to destroy souls.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
Elden
Nice.
Ring.
Pity whoever is playing in that tournament next week.
It's a competitive tournament. Everyone there's good player.
There to win.
Everyone's there good. Everyone there is a very good player.
Good.
Gulliman good.
Oh, we are getting towards the end of the podcast, thankfully. More nids.
More nids. Every now and then I'll look into, especially with some of my dry brushing, I need to let my brush dry sometimes. So when I do that, might look into the Age of Sigmar as well. Since, as I said, I was looking to get into it. So.
You got a sponge to hydrate your brush for dry brushing? Look at getting a sponge.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice.
And it'll help take moisture off too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah. So, and then looking at the Seraphon a bit. So, because I think that's what I like. Bugs, lizards.
Yeah.
So, that kind of stuff.
Very cool.
Sick.
What
What
you,
about you?
Judson?
Land Raider.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you
Land
done,
Raiders
are you
on the
done
go.
building it?
Yes. Except for the one door I put on upside down and then I ripped off and then I had to order another one.
Zinger. I did that the first Land Raider.
Yeah, so I put it on upside down, but I finished building it. I had 3D. I'm pretty sure it was a recast of the extra armor, so I had to do a lot of modifications.
It does look good, but
So it spent like 3 days building it, and milli putting stuff. I've never really done that stuff before, and I think it came up pretty good. So
50 hours. Who paint it?
I think it'd be probably closer to the Repulsor in 70, just not having to paint all those black grav pads though.
Yep.
So it's going to be fun. I'll enjoy painting that Land Raider. There's going to be some areas that aren't great, but for the most part, I think it'd be good. So that's about it.
Nice.
Again, thank you very much to everyone that joined the podcast. I think I forgot to tell people to like, share, and sub once again, but everyone gets to the end of these podcasts. So undoubtedly you're going to do it anyway. Congratulations to Simon Bird. I think that's who was the guy that won. Congratulations. Get in contact with us. We'll put some stuff up on socials. Yep. We haven't currently got a guest for episode 22. So we need to find one.
Yes.
Maybe if someone in chat's got someone that's really cool in the hobby, wants to go on a podcast, let us know. But we'll try and tee someone up.
yeah, shoot ideas through to us. Probably don't go filling up Judd's chats too much with suggesting people and that when we're chatting, when Judd's chatting during paint.
Messages on socials. Message on socials.
So, but yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, Judd. Thanks,
So
guys, for coming.
thank you for coming on, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for turning up on a Saturday.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.
It was fun.
That's it, guys. Catch you on episode 22.